Hey guys, I hope you guys have been doing great since I was away. It took me more than I expected. I think it was 2 months last time I uploaded a video. I've been busy moving to Dubai from the UK, and I would say I'm pretty much settled into this new apartment now. As you can see, I've got a new camera, a new microphone. I'm just missing a couple lights, and I'm pretty much good to go in terms of, shooting more YouTube videos and uploading them. So those are arriving next week, so I should be able to upload more regularly. Now, in this video, I want to talk about a couple things. When I was moving stuff into this new apartment, I had a lot of free time in the hotels. So I started on a new software project, and it has to do with trading. So specifically cryptocurrency. I got interested in these ever since I moved to Dubai, especially here. All the trading gains are completely tax-free. So I got into it and I started on a project. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to open up an API so that everybody can contribute and benefit from that. Secondly, I found a new and cool way to use ChatGPT in my programming for this new project. And I haven't seen any other YouTuber doing it this way. Maybe there is, but I haven't found one. And I'm going to share it with you guys because it's been pretty effective for me. So yeah. Here is a high-level diagram of my server in the middle and all its integrated parts. I called it Trading Hub for now. For lack of a better name, I will probably come up with a better name in the future. For now, let's not look at the user integrations, but up here we have the cryptocurrency data, market data providers. So it provides exchange rates between cryptocurrencies and US dollars. So for example, the exchange rate for Bitcoin US dollars, Ethereum US dollars, they're all being pulled once every minute. So that's being done. So basically, real current market data is in my server, and that is going to be used to judge everybody else's strategies. So all these user integrations here, these are you guys, or even me. I'm going to be creating a separate server that will be integrated with an API. So the goal is to have everybody send trade signals. So you can fetch market data from somewhere else. That's everybody else's problem. I don't provide the market data. What you need to do is you need to specify, hey, I want to open a position, long or short position, and you send a signal to my server. And my server will capture that, open a position, simulate it, not integrated with a broker. So it will simulate opening a position with the current market data. So you do have to specify your asset ID, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever cryptocurrency you want to open a position for. And then once that is done, the position is sitting there opened, and then you can send the subsequent messages like partial close or completely close the position. At the time of the position being closed, its P&L will be calculated based on the current price of that asset. So after being done that, we have each strategy being analyzed, its P&L, and then I will provide a dashboard where everybody can log in and see sort of like a leaderboard. And then what you can also do is subscribe to the specific strategies that you're interested in, and those signals, buy, sell signals, that strategy signals to my server will be basically broadcasted to everybody who subscribed. So the idea is everybody contributes their trade signals, and then my server evaluates the performance of the strategies, and then on the dashboard everybody can see who's doing, whose strategy is doing well, and then you can choose to subscribe and follow the signals, and then you can trade your own cryptocurrencies or brokers. Who knows, maybe in the future I will do something like eToro. I can hook it up to some broker so that you guys don't have to worry about it. But for now, all I'm going to be doing is broadcasting those trade signals from the specific strategies that you subscribe to, and then you can take actions afterwards after that. And another cool thing you can do then is you can subscribe to multiple strategies, and then you can actually aggregate the signals from multiple strategies, run your own risk management logic, and then publish trade signals off of that. So for example, you put 5 strategy signals together from my platform, and then your strategy, all it does is look at 5 strategies, and every time there's some signal happening, you can run it through some sort of a risk management and then generate another trade signal. So that strategy itself doesn't really have a smart logic built into it. It just looks at 5 different strategies from other people, and then you make a judgment call on when you want to make the trade signal and pump it back into my platform. And then that will be just considered as just another strategy. And then it will be put onto the leaderboard if it performs well. So that is the idea. And I will give you a little quick demo of what I've done so far. Right, with the little time I had, I was able to manage some of the core features at least so I can demo. The adding of strategy, yeah, you can just log into the dashboard and then you can fill out a form to add a strategy, fill in the name and the description of what your strategy is about, and then you should be able to add a strategy and get a strategy ID from that. And then with that strategy ID, you can start to do some interesting things with the positions. So here we've got an API endpoint. So this is something that you can programmatically access. So in the headers, of course, you need to include the API key that you generate from the dashboard. The header is X API key, and then it's going to be some kind of a UUID. And then in the body, in order to open the position, so that's the route, it's a post, you have to put in the strategy ID. In this case, this is the strategy ID. And direction, long or short. And then asset ID would be one of the cryptocurrency asset ID. So we've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a bunch of other assets. Actually, I think I can run this and find out. Sorry, I need to put in the API key here. And then the value. Oh. Oh, sorry, did I put in the params? Okay, sorry. Let me delete that. Headers, X API key. Yep, there you go. And then you'll be able to, so if you do a get to API assets, you'll be able to get a list of cryptocurrencies that you can trade. And here are the IDs of the assets. So yeah, you can open a position like that. And then finally, this is an interesting part. How do you specify the size of your trade? So I've opted to using some kind of a normalized scale from 1 to 5, 1 being the smallest size and 5 being the maximum size. Whatever that means to you is up to you. When you get a trade signal from a strategy that you subscribe to, and it tells you the strategy is placing size 5 trade. If you want to take that and say like your maximum size you're willing to lose is like $100, then your 5 is 100, and then 1 would be 20. 2 is 40, so on and so forth. So it's a normalized size. So you have to interpret it to your budget. Anyways, in this case, I'm opening a position, a long position, which means I'm going to be, placing a buy order of a maximum size 5. So let's go ahead and do that. As you can see, what we receive in return, this is an object, position object, and we have the asset, Bitcoin long, as we specified. The original size is 5, remaining size is 5. And then open price this is real price right now, current price. And this is a strategy ID, and close price, close timestamp is all null. P&L is null because this position is currently opened and nothing has been closed. This is the position ID, and this is the open timestamp. And here are the trades. The first trade is the opening trade of the position, right? So the direction is going to be buy because we opened a long position. And the size is 5 and the price is here. Exactly the same as the open price. Now, if I use the partial close, I have to get this position ID. So I'm going to tell my server I want to do a partial close of size 2. And I sent it. And here we go. The previous position used to have 5 remaining. Now there's only 3 remaining because you've closed 2. And the P&L is actually 0.92. So this is, again, that's not a dollar value. This is a normalized score of this position's P&L currently. So obviously, the higher, the better. If it's a positive number, this position is doing well and making profit. If it's negative, then it's losing money. So if we take a look at the trades, we've got the opening trade here, buy. And then, of course, we closed partially, size 2. So that's a sell. And we probably sold at a higher price, and we did. So it's not big. It's very, in terms of like percentage returns, that was in the span of like a couple minutes or so. So the price hasn't moved much. So this is very small, and that's why you're seeing the P&L score to be 0.92. If you leave this position open for a very like 2-3 days and then close it, this P&L score is going to be big. That's because the price is going to move a lot during that time. So the next, what we can do is, in order to close the position, we can partially close the remaining 3, or we can just straight up just close. So I'm going to take the position ID and then use the close position endpoint, and you don't even have to specify the size for that. And then you run it, and then here we go. The original size is 5, the remaining size is null, that means it's closed. And P&L is 4.17. Actually, while I was talking that whole time, the price has gone up, right? So this P&L is an aggregated score of this result of this trade and the result of this trade put together. Yeah, so that's basically it. So as you can see, you can use the my server to do simulated trades, opening simulated positions, and then you can get live kind of scores of how well your strategy is doing right now. So if you don't want to build anything yourself, you can go ahead and use this, and you're going to be able to have your strategy scored. And then I'm going to have a leaderboard of how well everybody's doing in the next, every strategy is doing in the recent 2 weeks, 1 month, 1 year, 2 years, so on and so forth. Now, one interesting thing that I'm going to be doing also is that I'm going to be duplicating everybody's strategy. Whenever you guys add a strategy, I'm going to be copying another strategy of it, but I'm going to prefix the name with a reversed. So I'm going to put a reverse tag. And what that strategy is that every time you send a signal to open a long position, open a short position, I'm going to be doing the inverse of that, opposite of that, in the duplicated strategy. So you don't have to necessarily have to create a best performing strategy. If you happen to create a worst performing strategy out of all the strategies on the platform, because I'll be making opposite trades for you, your strategy will actually go at the top of the leaderboard. So you either have to create a best performing strategy or a worst performing strategy. If you're somewhere in the middle, you're not going to be on the leaderboard. So yeah, so I'm going to be automatically be doing that. And then, you know, like once we have the leaderboard, then we can discuss what we want to do as a community, and you guys can subscribe and, you know, trade with the signals. You don't have to necessarily trade every single signal. You can take in the signals and do risk management and make the final decision as to like take an action based on the signals yourself. But those trade signals will be helpful insight to you. So that's everything I want to say about that. Now, I was able to code all of this within the last 3 days since I settled in this apartment. So ChatGPT helped me a lot, and I found a really cool trick with ChatGPT, and I'm going to be showing you that, what I did. The biggest struggle I have using ChatGPT while programming is that I spent a lot of time copy and pasting all my code, all this TypeScript source code, to ChatGPT so that it knows about the context of, you know, what I'm asking, and then it gives me a customized, you know, relevant solution to me. And I was researching like what are some of the ways that I can use to let ChatGPT know about my code base. In a nutshell, all of the solutions I found using embeddings API and vector database, they're all very time consuming. So because you've got to, basically for embeddings, for example, you need to turn all of these text files into vector data using vectorizing open APIs, you know, API, whatever. So that's a lot of jargon, but basically you need to process all of the source code so that you can embed it into ChatGPT's sort of brain, and so it knows about it, and then you can ask questions. Then you don't have to keep on copy and pasting your source code. That's a lot of work, and I found a hack around that. So what I've done basically, I don't know if somebody else has already done this on the internet, but this was helpful to me. So I've actually asked ChatGPT if there is a way for me to host all the files in my, for example, my server folder, but I could host my root folder of my monorepo, effectively hosting the web application as well. But I'm just going to do the server for now. And I asked ChatGPT, how can I expose my entire server folder and the files within them, within it, so that somebody can just look at an HTML page. You know, those old school FTP sites where you see like a very basic HTML directory, and you can click through and look at all the files in them. And ChatGPT basically wrote this HTTP server for me. So it's going to serve up all the contents within a folder. So what I'm going to do is, this is Python based, by the way. So you need to have Python 3, I believe. And I'm going to be sharing this server code. This is a single file server. All you have to do is you have to have Python on your local computer, and then you can use this. So that's here, Python 3, and then the server script, which is this one, and then the path of your server, and then the port number is here. And then I'm going to hit enter, and then you can see I've got it running right now, localhost 8000. And let's see. Right, and you're gonna see this. Yeah, this is what I meant by like very simple page, like almost like old school FTP. And you can see that if I click here, SRC, you can see my folders, and then you can see, for example, email, and then email service. You can see the file right there. And this is what the ChatGPT needs to navigate this page. But as you can see, this is localhost. This is not exposed to the internet. So ChatGPT, even though it has the plugin enabled here, by the way, you need to have ChatGPT Plus for this. And the plugin is going to be this web requests. So this allows ChatGPT to browse any website on the internet. So you see where I'm getting at. So as long as if I can expose this page somehow, ChatGPT is going to look at my entire code base of my server code base, and it should be able to click through and navigate all the folders and all the source files, and click on the TypeScript source code to take a look at what's happening. So it's going to start navigating by itself. So we're going to see that happening. So in order to expose this local host, you need to, this is where the ngrok is useful. So here, ngrok HTTP 8000. So this is me exposing my localhost server at port 8000 is going to be now this public URL, right? This public URL is now pointing to my localhost 8000, as you can see. So that means if I do this, there you go, right? So this is the address that we need to tell ChatGPT. I've already, let me just refresh that. Yeah, so I've already started the prompt. All I have to do is just change the address here. And then here, what I'm telling ChatGPT is, here's the URL. Above is my source repository URL you should use to answer my questions. It contains my server's entire source code. You can navigate open source files yourself. The folder and file names should be self-explanatory for you to navigate. You don't have to explain step by step how you're navigating. I don't want to know that. Please just tell me the final findings. Please wait for my next question. And then my question is going to be something very specific to my code base. So if I go into my server, so this is Nest.js server, by the way. So inside the strategy, there's a services. So as you can see, I have to go into a folder after folder after folder, and it's pretty complicated. And then there's a file named strategy service. And in here, one of my code is, if a user tries to add a new strategy onto their user ID, their user account, then I take a look at existing strategies for that user. And if the count is, if the user has a free membership, they can only have one strategy maximum. So here, existing strategy count is maximum 1. So if the user tries to add more than 1, then they're going to have an error saying free membership users are allowed only 1 strategy. So let's see if I can ask this question. Somewhere in my code base, I put a limit of maximum 1 strategy for a free membership user. Could you find and tell me where this code is? Could you parameterize the max limit as an environment variable, and show me how I should refactor my code? I want to set the max limit in as an environment variable. There you go. So I'm going to hit that. And then now ChatGPT is now going to go start doing the web requests. It's actually probably going to visit the root folder. And then now it's navigating to somewhere else. So the reason why it's not saying anything right now is because I silenced it. So here I said, I don't want to hear about where you're navigating to and from. Like, just tell me, do what you need to do and tell me the final answer. But if you delete this line, you can actually see what ChatGPT is doing. It's basically going to say, I'm opening the root folder now, I'm going into some other folder now, and it's going to tell you every step of the way. Provided from the file does not contain the specific logic, since I couldn't find the relevant code in the file. So it failed to, so this is a perfect case of how it fails to do that. So it wasn't able to find the strategy service. So if I just tell it, so sometimes you need to guide it. So if I tell it, since it is related to adding a strategy, I assume, I think it might be in a service related to strategies. I mean, that's a very reasonable thing to guess for humans, but in this case, ChatGPT wasn't able to do that. But when I tried this exact same prompt before, it was able to nail it first time. So it's not like, consistent. It's indeterministic, all these prompts and answers. So you need to sometimes try multiple times. Oh, there you go. This time it found it. I found the code related to limiting the maximum number of strategies. Here it is, right? It found exactly the same spot, right? I never copied and pasted my code anywhere. I just exposed my code base on the public internet, and it was able to find it. And then now it's telling me how I can refactor. And what's crazy is that I think it actually knows about my config service. What? Okay, let me just. Do you know where I am configuring environment variables? Could you also show me how I can add the environment variable, add a new environment variable to the configuration service? That'd be amazing. I haven't actually gone this far with this particular example, but let's take a look. So it's kind of funny, right? Like, it's every time you see these web requests, it's actually going through my hard drive. That to me is amazing. Okay, it did it, I think. Yeah. You see? So it told me configuration.ts. That's amazing. I do have a file called configuration.ts where I specify all the schema of the environment variables using Zod library. So it found that file and it added this at the end. And it's even smart enough to basically say, if the maximum free strategies is not specified, you should course to default to 1. That's amazing. Yeah, basically I've been using this trick and it has been very productive for me. So hopefully this will help you guys. Like I said, I'm gonna be linking the HTTP server, the Python HTTP server that I used, and how to do the ngrok. This thing is pretty straightforward. The guides are everywhere on the internet, how to use ngrok, so you can expose your local HTTP server publicly. So that is it, and good luck to you guys, and until next time.